Well, there's always plenty to talk about when we look at business in the 217, and a group that has their eyes on all things business in and around the area is the Springfield Business Journal, and Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal. She joins us now. And Michelle, let's go ahead and start off with news that we got this week and confirmed by Memorial Health, and that is the issue of mass layoffs that they're having. 5% across the board, 20% of leadership. What's going on behind the scenes over there? Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Well, yes, as you know, Memorial's been pretty tight-lipped about the details. They put out, I think, a two-paragraph statement, but we were able to obtain copies of some internal communications, and so I'm actually getting ready to post a breaking story here on both the Illinois Times and SBJ website within the next few minutes with a few more details about what that looks like. But, you know, I think people are surprised to hear that hospitals are losing money, especially because we've been hearing so much about healthcare the last few years with the pandemic. But this situation is certainly not unique to Memorial. HSHS has been posting losses as well. And quite frankly, just like we're seeing in a lot of other industries, there are a number of businesses where I think we're just now seeing some of that fallout from COVID. There were a lot of federal dollars and emergency relief dollars and things that kind of kept them temporarily afloat. But for the most part, that money has gone by the wayside now, and some of those things are starting to catch up.
And some of the numbers that at least I've received from those behind the scenes, about 274 employees across the board being let go, 20% of leadership, 5% across the board. And obviously, when you look back in the public health emergency lifting May 11th, that's going to limit how much federal dollars come in. So reflecting back on the past quarter since then, you can imagine that whenever they say revenues are not matching expenditures, properly managing that moving forward, you've got to make these types of tough decisions. And also the Memorial Health System saying that this is all part of national and statewide economic trends as well. So interesting to see that. We'll be obviously watching close for more details coming from the Springfield Business Journal. But other things going on, Michelle, plenty to talk about, including a sad day for some who just absolutely love Ritz's. They had their last day of operations on Friday.
Right. And again, the restaurant industry, this is, as I said, a lot of these we're just now seeing, I think, some of that fallout from the pandemic. The staffing shortages continue to be an issue, increased food costs, all that. So yes, Ritz's over on Jefferson Street had their last day on Friday, but they are going to continue to operate on North Grand, the Ritz's Little Friar, which is their original location. I didn't realize this till I chatted with Vicki Ritz the other day, but she and her husband Kurt opened up in 1978. Wow. That one on North Grand. So they have been at it for a long time. The Jefferson one has been there since 2001, but Vicki is now retired from the state. She said she actually just had a birthday over the weekend, turned 65. Kurt's a few years older than her. And she said it was just too much. She was working as a server herself to try to fill the gaps. And they just weren't able to give any of the employees a day off trying to cover two locations. So in this case, she said nobody lost their job. They were able to move everybody over to North Grand, and that the employees will now have at least one, maybe even 2 days off a week. So it was just too much for them to try to keep going with two different locations.
Talking with Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal, here with Springfield's Morning News. Next up, one building being torn down to make way for another. Tell us about Sportsman's Lounge.
Yeah, this has been a big one. So Mike Niehaus with Windsor Homes, he is finishing up a project over on Park Avenue, just off Wabash, kind of behind the Sonic in that area, and that's something we wrote about a year or so ago. It is permanent supportive housing, and it's a partnership with Helping Hands, where once the building is completed, it's a 24-unit apartment building, and they're going to take over the case management and things like that. And you may remember that project was a little controversial at the time. They had gotten a zoning change, but then after the fact, when it came out that it was going to be housing for the homeless, there was some pushback from neighbors, particularly because that particular area, didn't have sidewalks, street lights, not on a bus route, and all that type of thing. So now there is basically a very similar type of project in the works that would involve tearing down Sportsman's Lounge and also acquiring a couple of the parking lots right next to it to construct a similar building, about 24 units that would be used again for this permanent supportive housing. Now, in this case, of course, you're right there by the medical district. You're on a bus line. You've got all the infrastructure in place. So presumably this one will be a much smoother process. And Ward 5 Alderwoman Keisha Purchase has said she's been working with the developer from the beginning and is very supportive. But it goes up for discussion at zoning a week from today, and then of course City Council after that. And as you know, sometimes there's wild cards that come up with zoning, so we'll see how that all shakes out.
No question. There's always a wild card somewhere. Next up, let's talk about the new leader of Innovate Springfield and what they hope to be doing moving forward.
Yeah, well, this is a very familiar name in the community. Of course, Innovate Springfield has big things in the works with this new downtown incubator getting ready to open and all that. But Nabi Elaj, also known as Ben Hage, is going to be taking over as the executive director of Innovate Springfield. And of course, he's been the director of the Sangamon CEO program that works with high school students for about the past 8 years. My understanding is he is going to continue to do some teaching and working with the high school students, even in his new role with Innovate Springfield. But yeah, they've got that big renovation project in the works downtown with the former Sheriff's Association building. So a lot of exciting things coming soon that will be a big boost for some of the smaller businesses and entrepreneurs in particular.
So it's definitely big things happening. And something else that was huge this past week, the wife and I even went out and grabbed one of these burgers of the week from Legacy Point, which it was a Bob's Burgers influence, like a black garlic burger. It was delicious. But sadly, all good things come to an end. 217 Burger Week. Today's the last day.
It is, yes, and we actually gave you a little bonus there. Technically, it's 10 days instead of, we call it Burger Week, but it's really 10 days. So you got a little Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday bonus. But today is the last day, so you've still got lunch and dinner. You can squeeze in at least 2 more burgers out of the 11 different restaurants that are offering them. So yeah, if you haven't sampled one of the specialty burgers yet, or maybe just haven't sampled enough, go to 217foodweek.com and check out the photos and descriptions of all the offerings.
Or maybe if you had one that you really enjoyed, you've got a chance to get back at it and have a twofer, that's for sure. Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal. If people want to get their hands on a copy of the SBJ, how can they make that happen?
Well, if you go to springfieldbusinessjournal.com, you can sign up for BizBites. That's our weekly newsletter, and it's free of charge. We'll be coming out later this afternoon with a roundup of what's happening in the business community. And of course, you can also sign up for the print edition as well and make sure you're getting that delivered directly to your home or office.
So make it happen. Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal. Greatly appreciate it. Be safe out there.
Thanks, Greg.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk.